Hey guys, so I've always thought a lot about the mind and the body as they relate to depression and mental health and happiness and how you feel and everything. And it's always a kind of question I ask myself because I went through a phase where I kind of decided everything was about your body, it was about your health, it was about, were you drinking enough water, were you running or whatever, how much exercise you're doing, what you're eating. And I did all of that and I got really healthy and I optimized everything, and a lot of the time I still felt very depressed and traumatized and anxious and everything. And then I started to focus more on the mental side, on how you think about things, how you talk to yourself and your mind, and what kind of questions you ask yourself, and what narratives you create. And that helped, but probably coincidentally, when I started to do that, I probably started to take less care of the other side of things. I stopped paying as much attention to, I stopped running as much, for example, and at times became quite sort of sedentary. And I started to feel quite bad again. Like recently, I'd started to feel quite a lot of anxiety again, and I had been working on it quite well with like stoicism and things like that, practicing that mentally, and it'd been working well. But then, recently I started to feel it creeping in again. So I've started practicing that stuff again. But anyway, I always go back and forth between these two things, and I often think, is there one thing that comes first? Is it the mind first and then the body, or the body first and then the mind? Which do you start with? And I think it's different for different people, and I've settled on the metaphor of, when it comes to how you feel, the mind and body are two pedals on a bike. There isn't one pedal on a bike that's more important. Like, there might be one that's on your stronger foot and you're likely to kind of lean more towards using that one, or there might be, it depends also on where you are when you pick up the bike and when you stand on the bike and which way you get onto the bike, and where the pedals are when you sit down and you go to ride the bike. That determines which one you should start with, which pedal you push off on first, which one does the kind of the hard work, and which one gets carried by the other foot when you take off on the bicycle. But both of them are completely essential, and they work in tandem, and they can only work in tandem, because if you start getting really healthy and fit and active and neglecting your mind, you'll get depressed, and eventually you could get so depressed that you'll neglect your body and your health, and you won't work out anymore, you won't do those things because you'll be depressed. And similarly, if you work a lot on your mind and you don't work on your physical health, at a certain point you'll become really overweight, you'll become completely sedentary, your heart won't work well, your anxiety will increase because you aren't moving around enough, and your blood pressure's high, and basically it's unsustainable. So the two things have to work perfectly in tandem. Just like when riding a bicycle, these things have to, it's left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. You can't choose one or the other, really. To go at like a steady, sustainable pace and to be balanced and consistent, you need both. You can think of it in terms of mind and body, or you can think of it in terms of oh Jesus, not just body, but I include brain in body, right? Because like the mind and the brain are two different things. So when we say mind and body often sounds like it's excluding the brain, but I think the brain is included in that, because if you're taking medication, you're taking antidepressants, that is, I would include that under body. I would say that's part of the physical component that's relating to the physical component of how you feel, because literally it's a chemical thing, so it's like a physical thing. Mind, I'm referring to intangible things, you know, things that take place within the realm of thoughts and ideas. So you can think of it as that, the chemical state of your brain, or what thoughts that chemical state is, what thoughts you're having within that, chemical state. So yeah, I think that's a useful way to think of it. It's kind of just popped into my head, and I think that's probably a good way to think of the chemical and the kind of mental aspects of how you feel, and happiness, depression, whatever it is, looking after yourself mentally. I think that's a good way to look at it. So yeah, that's all, guys. Just a short one. Just getting this idea out before I forget it. Hope you're all well. Hope you're doing well. Take care. Bye.